Hey, yeah, I'm Hunter Kenyanen. I'm with the Space Sciences Lab here at UC Berkeley. I've had the pleasure of working with Wriley Katcoff over the summer. This fall, very soon, she's going to be starting environmental engineering. It's been great working with Wriley. She's based on the East Coast while I'm over here on the West Coast. So scheduling has been great, as a lot of us here are familiar with those kind of procedures. So yeah, she's been doing a lot of great mechanical work over the summer, and I'm excited for you all to hear what she's been doing. All right, go ahead, Riley.
Okay, just give me one moment. Okay, welcome to my presentation on GRASP, the Gamma Ray Spectrometer and Pointer. I am Wriley Katcoff. So GRASP is the project that I have been working on. It is part of a larger project called GRIPS, the Gamma Ray Imager / Polar Emitter for solar flares. As you can see in the full photo of giant thing outside, that is GRIPS 1, which had its first flight in 2013. What you can see is the gondola. Above it is balloons that are keeping it in the air and actually flying it around Antarctica. So it first flew in 2013, and now we're working on our second GRIPS mission, which is still in the process of being built. Those steel beams in the second photo are approximately where the project is at right now. So what GRIPS does is it detects gamma rays from solar flares, because when solar flares occur, they emit those gamma radiation rays and we can detect them. It's important to detect solar flares because solar flares can make life on Earth pretty weird, and we need to be prepared for that. So GRASP is a secondary part of GRIPS. It is a piggyback, meaning it's not part of the main GRIPS mission, which is detecting solar flares. It's actually something that's going to help us make GRIPS 3 in the future. It's a thought about how to better point the gondola in order to capture solar flares better. And that's the main point of GRASP. It's going as an add-on to GRIPS. A main piece of technology in GRASP is the photomultiplier tube. When a particle, like a high energy photon or a charged particle, hits a crystal, it'll be a lithium bromide crystal. It excites an electron to a high energy state. In a few nanoseconds, it loses that energy, emitting a photon in visible light. Invisible. It's visible. And the photomultiplier tube then amplifies the signal of that one photon to levels that can be detected electronically. And the PMT, the photomultiplier tube, has to be touching the crystal in order to get this data. So before I get into the drawings that I just showed, I need to explain that I was also using a new 3D software, Onshape. And when I was first given the project, I didn't know how Onshape worked. I had to learn it. The black and gray photomultiplier tube was the model I was given, and I had to completely re-render that myself in Onshape in order to familiarize myself with the software. And seeing as the two tubes are identical, except for color, I think I did a pretty good job. Once I had the design specs for the GRIPS mission, I then had to design everything else. The photomultiplier tube is the only pre-existing piece of technology. Everything else had to be designed for the experiment. So here you can see the tungsten cover that is going to prevent excess gamma radiation from getting anything other, like preventing the crystals from getting anything other than direct radiation from the top. It's a barrier around it. Here is a one design of how the photomultiplier tubes could be touching the crystals. This is a frame that's going to be made out of aluminum. And this is another way that the photomultiplier tubes could get to the crystals. It's this, but upside down and with the holes on the back instead of the sides. Because there are multiple configurations that can have the photomultiplier tubes, they can maybe be all in a circle. The whole idea is the photomultiplier tubes each need to touch one crystal. And this whole device grasp is being placed on grips and in some location. We don't know the exact location yet because grips itself is still in progress. Because we don't know that, we need some variability, we need to have choices. And so we need to have multiple configurations of where the photomultiplier tubes can be, because that's where the structure gets the bulkiest. So for design 1, the photomultiplier tubes are on the sides of the aluminum tray, touching the crystals like that. And in design 2, the photomultiplier tubes are on the bottom of the tray and touching the crystals. When I designed that in Onshape, here is a closer look as to what that looks like. The photomultiplier tubes are on the sides, nothing on the bottom for design 1. Design 2, nothing on the sides, everything on the bottom. The other parts, the other parts have the tungsten cover, the lanthanum bromide crystal, which is just a cube. It's going straight into the aluminum tray, and the L bracket, which helps attach, well, it's how the grasp is attached to grips. Fully assembled, it looks something like this. You've got the crystals inside the tray, tungsten cover on top of the aluminum, the L brackets on the sides, and the photomultiplier tubes in the correct location depending on the orientation. With that in place, I made some station drawings to determine the to telegraph the exact measurements, because there are a lot of them in this design. And then I had to arrange how to 3D print these, because we can't use a bunch of aluminum and tungsten and lanthanum bromide right now before we have made sure that everything is correct, because that would be a waste of materials. Instead, we're 3D printing them, but these shapes are too big for one 3D printer, so they had to be split up. In this example, you can see I've got the one corner of the tungsten cover and how they all come together to make the full tungsten cover. Those printed out over here. Photomultiplier tube got split into 2 pieces because it was too tall. The L brackets are a good size, they're fine. And the aluminum trays are in 4 pieces as well. After this presentation, sometime later today or perhaps this weekend, these parts are being shipped to my house, where I will be able to do further examinations of them, make sure that everything works out, all the parts fit together, and they're going to work for this project. And then everything will be concluded. I would not be able to have done this without my mentor, Hunter, without Ariana, and without Pascal and Samar, who are also working on grips and help me a lot. You can ask questions now.
Awesome. Thank you. Well, I regret that the parts didn't manage to get to you in time for your talk, but they almost got there. We shipped them overnight, but they just didn't quite get there yet today. They'll probably come like as soon as you're done talking.
We have learned that West Coast to East Coast overnight shipping is really just a suggestion sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes they just lie about it. But amazing job of designing all of this stuff.
Thank you.
So I hope it was fun. Looked like you were having fun.
I did.
Anyone have any questions for Wriley?
And also thank you to Jeffrey and the crew here at Evian and Robert for shepherding that huge 3D printing job through, which took like a week.
Most interesting thing I learned how to use Onshape, which I've used 3D modeling softwares before, but never this one. And Onshape's a lot easier than Inventor.
Oh, there you go. Another one to add to your arsenal of tools.
Yep.
All right. Well, a huge congrats to Wriley.